and thank you for joining us here at GBS News 9. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Tonight, we dive into a topic that resonates deeply with every Kenyan, the Finance Bill 2024. Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. We have a lot lined up for you tonight, but first, here are the highlights.
So the ayes have it.
It is government versus citizen. Mixed reactions as Kenyans of all ages line up in an attempt to detach themselves from the 2024 Finance Bill, which they call punitive.
The Council calls for immediate release of equitable share of revenue owed to county governments for the months of May and June 2024.
Delayed county funds forced governors to call out government in protest, a plot by Treasury to slash allocations for the 2024-2025 by 5 billion Kenyan shillings. Controversially banned, coastal leaders meet to consolidate ban on Muguka on the coastal region.
So neza jituma fans to discipline to celebrate trophy yetu, najua tumezoea but go to discipline to
To begin our bulletin, for several years, the finance bill being passed by the National Assembly, while members of the public were not actively involved and passively participated during its voting. But from last year, Kenyans have developed interest in the bill as most Kenyans participated in the public participation, giving their views which many said were not included in the bill. This year's finance bill, which was passed yesterday, received total rejection from Kenyans who took to the streets, sending a warning to the members of the National Assembly to reject it, but their plea fell in deaf ears, as Davis Karani now reports.
It started as a stream of fire in the central business district. It is the first time in the Kenyan history that Kenyans took to the streets to demonstrate against the finance bill. The 2023 bill voting attracted interest from Kenyan citizens as it became the first bill that Kenyans felt it was unbearable due to high taxation. Many Kenyans came out during the public participation and gave their views, which the government ignored and failed to include in the 2023 finance bill, a move that demoralized many from giving their contributions.
We have participated in other public participation, and most of the issues we raised and the proposals we made were never put into use, they were ignored. So I declined to make any proposal because I feel whatever we say will not be put into use.
But in the 2024 finance bill, Kenyans gained interest and settled for nothing but the rejection of the bill, leading to the division of the country in two. A section of Kenya Kwanza parliamentarians supporting the bill and the opposition joined the battling Kenyans by voting no to the bill.
The division on the second reading of the Finance Bill 2024 voting, the ayes 204, nays 115, abstention 0.
So the ayes have it.
But before this voting section, first of all, let us flash back and review what brought this animosity between the two factions.
That they have proposed with the executive under the able leadership of His Excellency the President.
The government of Kenya has resolved to stop employing new employees for at least 1 year, which triggered the unemployed youth to take to the streets and push the government to stop its decision. Among other issues that made Kenyans storm to the streets was the increment in the car levy, taxation levy on the imported goods, and taxation of the online content where a majority of the youth fall in. It is the first time that Kenyans have charged up without any influence from any political party, clearly indicating how tough things are on the ground. From a far distance, it is easy to tell the division in the presidency, as the president supports the finance bill while the deputy president is indirectly opposed to it in the form of one man, one vote, 1 shilling. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
Moving on, the Bondo residents today took to the streets to denounce the area member of parliament, Gideon Ochanda, for supporting the controversial finance bill in parliament. Business came to a standstill as the residents carrying a coffin within which there was effigy of the member of parliament along the streets chanting dodges and shouting slogans against the legislator. Accusing the legislator of betrayal, the demonstrators, who included the youth and the old, said by voting yes, Ochanda had clearly demonstrated that he had no interest of the people who elected him. Addressing the media, the resident said it was quite unfortunate for the member of parliament to vote in favor of the bill, which he clearly knows that was punitive. They called on the ODM, which sponsored Ochanda to parliament, to take a disciplinary action against him, reiterating that he betrayed not only his constituents, but the entire ODM party fraternity, together with its leadership. They say they will no longer recognize him as their member of parliament, arguing that he cannot afford to go against the wishes of his party leader, Raila Odinga, in the support when Kenyans were up in arms against it across the entire nation.
Bondo constituency. Today we've gathered here as stakeholders of this beloved constituency called Bondo. We are all classes here, as you can see. We have the party officials, ODM, we have the business community, we have the representative of the women, we have the youth fraternity, we have the border riders, we have our road clerks, largely known as Manamba, and all the classes of people around here today. Now, our major role here, or the major purpose of us conducting this meeting here, is the displeasure of our Member of Parliament, Dr. Gideon Ochanda. When the issues were tough in the National Assembly yesterday, in the whole broad daylight, the whole nation actually witnessed that the only Luo MP coming from this region by the name Dr. Gideon Ochanda, more so coming from Bondo constituency, where Honorable Raila Odinga is hailing from, actually went against the normal norms of the society and voted yes, meaning is in bed with the president of the day being led by the Kenya Kwanza regime. So this is something we are rejecting in totalism. We are really trying to castigate this, and we are trying to distance ourselves from this draconian act that was actually that was done by the Member of Parliament, Dr. Gideon Ochanda.
I'm Odolo Richard, Chairman West Aqua Ward, ODM, our beloved party. Since we are here since morning, we are condemning what the exercise which was done yesterday by our representation we call MPs in the parliament. Now, all of us here are representing different sectors of Bondo constituency. We are here to rally as a party and to rally as business sectors to condemn what was done by our leaders, whom we call MPs, yesterday. Now, the finance bill, which was raised in the parliament from the previous days, we are condemning because it is harming our people. For example, there is a bill there touching each and every household that a member targeting 25 years and above will file a tax of 300 per month. Our people are barren down the line. So we, as the party leaders of Bondo, we are not for that motion.
Our big conversation begins right now, the Finance Bill 2024. This bill has stirred passionate debates and sparked nationwide protests, reflecting the concerns and aspirations of the diverse communities. The ongoing demonstrations have taken a twist from the norm as young people sought to be directly involved. Dubbed Occupy Parliament, Kenyans took to the streets in Nairobi to protest over the high taxation in the Finance Bill 2024. The revolution began on social media with Kenyans expressing their views and discontentment with the bill. The hashtag Occupy Parliament gained massive support online and offline, especially from young people, equally known as Gen Zs, who assured their presence. Joining me to have this conversation is David Karani, who is a human rights activist, and Edwin Oiko, who is a youth leader and Young Wiper Democrats, Nairobi. Good evening, and thank you for joining the broadcast.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to dive into this conversation.
I'm much pleased to be here today.
Thank you so much for making time. Now, the good thing about the gentleman I'm having tonight is that you happen to attend the protest. It's amazing. You will speak from the what they call the horse's mouth. Yeah. So I'll start with you, Edwin.
Yeah.
Why did you attend the protest?
Actually, I attended the protest because most of those bills or those taxes that have been imposed are affecting us as young people. So I went there to advocate for our rights. Yeah.
Karani, you know, you're saying Gen Zs, I think you're millennials, yeah?
Yeah.
What was your purpose there?
First of all, I'm a human rights defender, and I've been in this for the longest time. I started at least like 12 years ago when I joined the social justice movement. And I was there as an observer to ensure that human rights, there are no human rights violations. That's why I was there. I was there to observe that the people are allowed to exercise their right to actually protest, demonstrate, and picket, and also present petitions to authorities, because that is actually it is a right in the Constitution. So we saw it fit as civil society to actually have people who will actually observe the protest. Which was, I think, something that I was actually impressed. Being a millennial, I saw new energy, I saw determination, and I saw people who want to change a country. And I've always believed in those people who go for it, and Gen Zs are going for it. Because a revolution it's not like an apple that will fall when it's ripe. You have to go for it. And Gen Zs are going for it, and revolution is for the young. So I saw energetic people. I saw people who are actually peaceful. I really loved that. Although the police spoiled in the evening by shooting one young man by the name Rex Masai, may his soul rest in peace. Today, civil society attended his post-mortem at the city mortuary. And it was a very sad affair. I really want to say apology to the family, because Gen Zs had maintained peace. And actually they chose to the Mahatma Gandhi way, the peace way, which I was really impressed, because I would see Gen Zs interacting with police in a very peaceful manner. Because Gen Zs felt like this was going to affect them. The finance bill was really affecting them. So they sought redress, and they wanted to actually talk to the members of parliament. So I think that is the way to go. And Gen Zs, kudos. I think we are going to see a revolution in this country.
Yes, I think by Gen Zs, Edwin is a Gen Z here.
Yeah,
Kudos.
You can tell us more about
the Gen Zs.
Yeah, Gen Zs, because I think all other are learning something new. Because for the first time, we saw a peaceful protest. We saw actually people who are actually even telling police we are peaceful. We saw some pictures, and it happened everywhere. I was surprised to see as far as Nakuru, as far as Kisumu, Kericho, Eldoret. Eldoret really surprised me, because I didn't expect in the backyard of the president that you can have young people going out to actually register their displeasure on what is happening in the country. So I think it was something very something very impressible and something to learn from. Anyone who's willing and anyone who's watching, it's something that any person in leadership should actually pay keen interest to, because they are trying to talk, but you're not listening. Yeah.
Now, Edwin, listening to Mr. Karani, he has talked about, we went to the extent of having a peaceful demonstration, and of course, one of the protesters dying, losing his life, and you have had several protests. This is not the first protest. What is different about this protest? Will it bear any fruit?
Yeah, the difference between this protest and the other protests we had, this protest was peaceful. That's the first thing. Apart from it being peaceful, it was from the heart of these young Gen Zs. They did it with passion. You know, and one different thing with this one is that they didn't have one spectator, that is one leader, who would say that was the one who led those demonstrations. It was youth leaders from various locations, because it was not organized by one individual. So people came out to the streets with their own willing because of these punitive taxes. And one of the reasons in these demonstrations which people, that is us young Gen Zs, didn't raise our voice about was about tax which was under amateur sporting associations. You know, this tax, this finance bill, they have brought about a new tax that is for these amateur sporting associations. So they have increased, that is a tax on the income of amateur sporting associations. When we speak of amateur sporting associations, we are speaking of these grassroots sporting associations, these marginalized sporting associations in the local areas. So they're discouraging these young people in these local areas to start their sporting associations, because when they have increased the income of these amateur sporting associations, that means that these big club associations that we have now will have more power, and they will be managed by maybe these betting sites. And if they can be managed by these betting sites, it means that now these amateur sporting associations and these young people in the grassroots level, they'll not have that opportunity to nurture their talents very well. So that was among the reason why young people in Nairobi were demonstrating. Then they were demonstrating about these, the diapers and the others that they were speaking, that's the eco levies. But there were other major taxes, that is punitive taxes that were in that financial bill. They increased taxes on data services. And if you look at these Gen Zs that we have, most of them, their income is through the digital platform. So if those data and internet services tax has been increased, then that means that their income will change, and then it will bring about high cost in their internet services, and thus that will trigger the source of income. So that was another option for them to come out to the streets. So I guess the demonstrations were peaceful. It's just the government and those policemen who were charging us with force. But of all the demonstrations that I've seen, this is the most peaceful demonstration that I saw. So it was about the government to us.
Now, Karani, the reason why these demos have been declared very different from other demos you have seen, these are people who are not divided by their ethnicity, these are people who are not divided by tribe, these are people who have a common goal, having the finance bill gone. What impact will this have compared to the other demos that have happened before?
I think this is one of the, as one of the Gen Zs has mentioned, this was not politically driven. There was no political interference in this. There is no politician who can say I organized. Actually, this one was not, it did not have any political interference. That is one thing that when they were out there, they were not chanting any political affiliation to anything. These are people who were out there, issue-based. They had come out, not talking about which tribe you're coming from, or which place you're coming from. All of them came together to actually have their voice heard. Because actually most of the placards, if you read most of the placards, besides those ones that were very funny, there were some that were very, very into the point. These Gen Zs have taken their time to learn, to actually go and peruse the finance bill. Most of them, they were talking about the hike on issues like diapers. Yeah. Actually, I also saw somebody who was talking about the Data Protection Act, which actually is one of those things that is being proposed to be in this. So we saw government trying to play them at the last minute by saying they've removed tax on some certain issues, but increasing them on importation. Something like diapers and sanitary pads. When you say you are only going to charge importations, and you clearly know we do not manufacture enough, that is just another way of hiding. But everyone knows that we don't have local companies that are doing enough to cover the market in the country, to cover the demand in the country. So this means the few that are going to be coming in, they're going to be charged an eco levy. So when they're talking about buying Kenya and building Kenya, that is just something that is actually, they are just making fun of these young people. Because when you go back and tell them we will charge importations and you don't manufacture enough in the country, that means that is just a way of hiding that tax. So I think Gen Zs have taken their time to look into the bill, to learn where it is affecting them and what they want dropped. They were talking about a whole dropping it all without amendments. So I think onwards, going forward, I think we're going to see a lot of engagements in terms of them being active. Because I think I'm really impressed that now people are learning that actually politicians affect your life. For the longest time, I've been having people who are saying, mimi maneno ya siasa, I don't like politics. Now people realize that politicians actually determine the price of bread in your house. Politicians actually even determine how you're going to live your life. So I'm thinking this generation is going to be one of those generations that are going to be so keen on what is happening in the country and willing and able to make contributions. And those are going to be meaningful contributions. Because if you can see what they are doing right now, they tried to talk to their members of parliament before, but they did not listen. There was someone to State House for them to drop those things, which I find so. It doesn't make sense. If you are a member of parliament, then you should be doing these things. It's one of your roles in parliament. You don't have to be called to State House for you to decide that this is going to be dropped or this is going to be. Those are things that they should have raised at the parliament level. So I think it is actually a challenge to the other sets to actually now come in and be more active, even on the local level. Because I'm thinking now Gen Zs, we should take this now. They should take this to the next level, auditing the county budgets, looking at how money is being spent and looking for the value of their taxes. Because I'm thinking after they are done with the national, now they should go now and be keen on now the county government budgets.
And just listening from some of the things that Mr. Karani has talked about, he has also mentioned that there are some amendments that did happen to the bill, Edwin. Yeah. Now we had the 1.16% VAT on bread that was removed. VAT on transportation sugar was also removed. VAT on financial services and foreign exchange transactions has also been removed. No increase in mobile money transfer, that has also been removed. 2.5% on motor vehicle tax has also been removed. Was that not enough?
No, because what they're trying to do is that they created that so that we can focus on those sectors. Mm-hmm. But they can, if they have decided to reduce that and then they come to increase fuel, they said they were to increase fuel by 9 shillings. Fuel is the economy, because everything we use, fuel is involved in our economy. It plays a bigger role. So if increasing that is fuel by 9 shillings is like increasing every other product in our economy. So I guess that was one way. It's like they are giving with one hand, then taking with the other hand. So when they peeled out those other taxes, they wanted us to focus on those taxes. But inside the financial bill itself, you might get that there are some other sectors that we are not keen on. because that sectors that which we are not keen on, that's where now they are keen on. And that's where they'll have to finance us that we can't see, but to them that's the advantage they have. For example, they introduced, that is, as my friend has said, that is the import declaration fee. You know, import declaration fee means that the imports, that is goods imported will be at higher cost. But again, we forget that that we need some raw materials that we don't have. So importing those raw materials to our country also will bring about high cost of production for our manufacturers, and high cost of production for manufacturers that will lead to maybe decreasing the manpower because of the deficit in the manufacture. Yeah.
Currently, we did see a statement brought to the Clerk of Parliament from the Treasury, where they say that there will be a deficit of 200 billion Kenya shillings if the finance bill is done away with. And to cover for this deficit, there were some essentials that the Treasury suggested that will be affected. That include vocational training of centers, university funding, cash transfers for senior citizens, as well as confirmation for medical and junior secondary school interns. Now, just listening to health is essential, looking at education is also essential. What are your thoughts on the potential budget cuts?
I think this was just an attempt to actually force the financial bill on Kenyans, because you cannot tell me that you can go to Parliament and tell members of Parliament that if you don't pass that one, we're having to cut budget on. You're also talking about roads. They'll have to cut budgets on roads. They'll have to cut budgets on and bringing in that they are not going to employ JSS teachers. That is just trying to intimidate these members of Parliament. I think at the moment we should not. The conversation in this country should be different. We should be looking at the wastages that are happening. We should go back and start looking at what is being proposed in this budget that does not make a lot of sense to the common man. Anytime, even in your house, when you're making a budget, you look at what is essential and what is non-essential. So it is also important for us as a country to also look at what is important. We cannot be going to renovate houses at this moment. We cannot be buying new cars at this moment. It's time now, if you're going to be looking at cutting budgets, let's start cutting at non-essential, what is not important to the country. And I think that is just an attempt to actually threaten Kenyans, which I think most members of Parliament did not buy it. Because you cannot tell people now that CDF is going to be reduced, which actually they had actually increased by 30 billion. And now taking 15 billion out of the 30, it means that it's also an increase of 15 billion, which we are seeing an attempt to try and make Kenyans always be looking up to politicians for help. We don't need to actually, when people are empowered, people will not be going for the bursaries. No parent is actually happy when they're going to queue to get a bursary for their children. If we can empower these parents and ensure that they are able to pay their children's fees by ensuring that actually we do not have unnecessary bills in the government. And I'll tell you one thing, Gen Z is very smart. You're looking at Gen Zs telling you they are being thrown a curveball so that they can go for that ball. In the meantime, government was looking at something. They've already noticed bread and the other things were only to take their attention away so that they can increase what they are doing. We saw Murkomen going to Parliament to try and increase the road fuel levy, which is road maintenance levy, which is actually going to increase the cost of doing business in the country. As this gentleman has just said, fuel is everything we use fuel in all our businesses, even moving around. Fuel is one of those important things that when it goes up, everything goes up. You may not increase the price of bread, but when you increase the price of transporting that bread to actually that local shop, it will increase eventually. So we may not increase, you may not put that levy that you wanted to put in cars, but increasing fuel will actually make even that car more expensive. So we're just trying to say, putting those attempts to twist and say, if you don't do this, you're not going to be doing this, and you're going to cut. If it's going to be cut so much, let's take it out and let's come up with a new one, so that we don't cut on those important things that we need. We need GSS teachers, we need interns to be employed. So if it's going to be so much problematic, let's not even vote for it. Let's throw it away and start afresh. Because we have already, there's no vacuum. There's never a vacuum in the law. Actually, we have the 2020-2023 finance bill. We can continue with that, yeah, so that we don't say there's going to be a vacuum as we prepare another one. It's our country, it's our money. Why do we feel like we are in a rush? We can sit down and discuss and see, these are the things that are going to be changing. Let us now allow ourselves, if it is going to be now the CDF that they're talking about, to cut, and other things that they're going to be to cut, let's cut, and let's ensure that our children will have actually the university fees that they require, and actually they are going to have teachers in the centers. So those attempts to actually twist our members of parliament, it's actually unacceptable at this day and age.
Edwin, what do you make of that? We have not had the slashing maybe from the office of the First Lady or the office of the President. We have had the slashing of essential things like education and health. That is a proposed slashing to cover the deficit. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, when you look at how they budget, this budget of our country, there are some places that is where the major areas that should be focused on, they give those major areas few allocations. Like, for example, as you have asked, that is the office that is of the First Lady and the Second Lady. Those offices, first, we have to see programs from those offices so that when they're budgeted for, we can keep track of where that funds are going. You know, according to what I think is that the government should introduce, that is, a national adaptation plans, because when they introduced the 2023-2024 finance bill, they introduced new taxes. And when they introduced those new taxes, there was a gap, that is a financial flow gap of the people. You know, that gap, that's where now the margin was. That's where the people on the ground felt the impact of the economy. And they never introduced us an adaptation plan for the people on the ground to adapt to the economy. And now for them introducing a new financial bill with new taxes and a new budget. And we, the Gen Z, have not seen reports of the previous budget on how it was accounted for in details form.
Actually, just to come in on that,
yeah.
The previous budget, the Auditor General is saying a lot of ministries did not even report properly. When the Auditor General raised questions, some ministries even ignored. So there's a report on how money was spent, and it was spent poorly. It was spent on traveling, it was spent on local and international traveling. We know our president is a tourist, he loves going. He loves flashy things, and the Gen Zs can see.
Yeah.
So when you tell them they have to tighten their belt, but you're not tightening your belt, you are actually misusing taxpayers' money with flights that are expensive and unnecessary traveling. It actually makes Gen Zs want to go to the street every day. When you see a president who is flashy, doing Versace's and everything, and the shoes that are costly, Gen Z is actually smart enough to go and search for those sites and know how much that shoe is costing, how much that belt is costing. When you go and tell people, Gen Zs, that actually your flight was paid by a friend, and you're a public servant who actually abides by the law, and you know what the law says when you're going to receive gifts, when you're a public servant, you need to declare that. So Gen Zs are smart enough to watch when you're wasting money. These people are not you're not going to tell these people that they are going to pay university fees expensively so that you can collect that money and waste it. So the question is very good. What have they done? The Auditor General is telling us that actually there is wastage. So I think that is enough to make anyone feel mad when you want to collect more so that you can waste. It's like already you're throwing away food, but you're going to the kitchen to cook more so that you can throw away. Whoever is providing that food is going to feel very, very agitated when you tell them to provide you more food. So I think taxpayers and Gen Zs, they are right when they go out to the street to peacefully express their opinion. We're seeing what is happening in Luo Nyanza. They've given an MP a coffin. So I think this is the right way to go. We are going to see, just to give a tip to the Gen Zs on what to do next. I don't know if that is going to be, as an activist, I feel like this is the way to go, to recall this. Article 104 gives us the right to recall MPs. I think this is the way to go now. If we can be able to rise and register as voters, and also demand that IEBC is reinstated so that these people can go out there, collect signatures and bring it to IEBC and recall these MPs and they go home so that we can have people who will actually put government to account. Because the people we have right now cannot even actually ask questions. If you're being called to State House and you line up to announce that you're going to take away some taxes, this is something that you'd have done in Parliament. This is something that you'd have gone to your people and asked them, well, how do you want me to vote? How do you want me? Because what happened to Mjumbe? Mjumbe is actually Swahili for messenger. Who's supposed to take Ujumbe? So it's supposed to take Ujumbe ya wananchi to Parliament. So when they go to when they go to State House to get instructions on how to vote, they should now be all members of all those members are representing the president. So the people are left without a representation. Yeah.
Now,
just to pick up on where I had left, you know, we as Gen Z, we are a generation that we want to learn, we want to know, and we want to understand things, how they work. So we saw that most of these MPs in Parliament, they come outside here to tell us that how the other, that is the opposition and the government, how they collide in Parliament. But in the real sense, we don't see them bringing out amendments to those bills that are brought to Parliament. You know, they better bring about amendments to Parliament so that they can come outside here to tell us that we took these amendments and they didn't give us a correct feedback. But you know, what we just see is them boycotting that Parliament. At least for this time, we saw them voting, which was a miracle to us, because when I was looking at what was the happening of the Parliament, I saw that they were bringing in about chaos. They wanted to be sent out of the Parliament so that they can have an excuse that they were sent out. But the Speaker did his part. He never sent them out.
Has not done anything. 1 year, how much has been raised cannot be accounted for. For 1 year, you'd have, with the kind of money they're collecting, they would have done a lot of houses. I'm not seeing any houses. So when you continue to deduct money the second year, and the first year you've done nothing, are you collecting this money just to keep them somewhere? We saw Omtata going to court, and court raised a lot of issues. And a bill was rushed to Parliament to ensure that actually things work out so that they cannot miss on that money. And so far, nothing is being, they cannot account for anything. So what the people are feeling is actually a displeasure with, people don't have a problem with paying taxes, but when you're going to pay taxes and be receiving reports, because I think the Auditor General is the one who actually watches on behalf of the Mwananchi and tells the Mwananchi that if there's a leak somewhere and they're not repairing that leak, they're making more leaks, then if you continue to pour water in that tank, it will never help you. It will never hold water. So the Auditor General is telling us there's a problem. We're not addressing that problem. 2023, you collected money, but we wasted that money. So why are we in a rush to push for more taxes when you cannot account for what we've done with whatever we collected? So I think it's time for Kenyans to actually continue taking this conversation even to the county levels. The reports that are going to be coming out on the counties, the budgets. So I'm just curious to see how Gen Zs, the ones that took to the street in Nakuru, in Nairobi, in Meru, in Garissa, are going to be keen enough to ensure that the monies that are brought now to the country levels are not wasted. Because we are seeing also the county being told they're going to get a slash of almost 5 billion. So we're just wondering what is going to happen now to those county budgets. So I think it's something that is going to be very, very tricky to watch these happenings, and it's going to require for a lot of Kenyans to be involved in actually building our country. Sasa ndio ile wakati tunasema tujenge nchi yetu sasa. So our opinions are going to be very important in how this country is going to go forward. Because I think also Gen Zs have shown that you've made them come into politics. Because I think Gen Z was not interested in politics that much. But when you show them that actually politicians are the ones making the decisions, Gen Zs had to take time to learn. Oh, so these are the people who are preparing a budget that is going to actually do this and that. It's going to affect my income in this way and in that way. So Gen Zs have come in. Gen Zs are empowered. We are seeing these are the same people who are actually, these are the Kibaki people now. When Kibaki said all children should go to school, this is a generation that went to school. And this is a generation that actually has benefited from technology. This is a generation that is willing to learn. What they don't understand, they are willing to go to the internet to learn and to empower themselves with knowledge. So we should not be surprised when these young people start asking questions. It's their time. And I liked one of the demonstrators when they say this is about our children, us and our children. So it should always be about the future. Anytime a nation should always be preparing for the future that is coming.
Now, Edwin.
Yeah.
As you give your parting shot, in a minute, because time is sadly not on our side, maybe you can tell us, Gen Zs, how does the government respond to you? You are internet gurus, you know how to even give hashtag on TikTok and people are turning up. How can the government respond to you in a minute as you give your parting shot?
Okay, you know, Gen Zs, with this government, they never took us seriously. They took us as young people who are just upcoming this new world. Now, with these actions that we as Gen Z have shown them, now they've started to see that clearly we as Gen Z, we know some things that we want in our lives. We know how the country, we want to learn how the country is run, and everything that the country undergoes that affects us as Gen Zs. Now, because we Gen Z are in digital platforms and the social medias, and the main reason why these demonstrations...
A minute.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I was saying we need to use a minute because time is sadly not on our side. Maybe Mr. Karani, in a minute as well, just give your parting shot.
I think my parting shot would be just to encourage Gen Zs, even after the setback of one Rex Masai being shot. Don't relent. Keep it peaceful. And always be respectful. I saw you respecting authorities and not fighting back even when they were coming violence. Keep that up and continue sharing that message. And register yourself for
2027.
No, you don't have to wait for 2027. You can recall your MPs and ensure that actually they are back in the village.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. There's a lot to talk about in Matters Finance Bill, but sadly, time is not on our side. Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in our new segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick break. We'll be right back.
So through the four gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins. He carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in within 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being
우리
crucified.
죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Hello.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News 9. Governors have protested a plot by the National Treasury to slash county allocation for the 2024-2025 financial year by 5 billion Kenya shillings in its plan to maneuver cash flow challenges. Through the Council of Governors, the county bosses rejected the move as unconstitutional and against the spirit of devolution. According to Iguru, the constitution provides that the county government do not suffer in the event of cash flow challenges by the Kenya Revenue Authority. Here are the details.
The Council of Governors is sounding an alarm to the national government against any move to deduct money allocated to counties in the 2024-2025 budget, insisting counties should never suffer as per the law, and if there is a loss, it should be borne by the national government. According to the COG chair and Kirinyaga Governor Anwar Iguru, the national government owes counties about 64 billion Kenyan shillings, being money for May and June, and thus should be disbursed as soon as possible to avoid it being a pending bill.
It is important that the National Treasury is guided by the provisions of Section 5(1) of the Division of Revenue Act 2024, which stipulates that whenever there is a shortfall in the revenue raised nationally, the shortfall shall be borne by the national government and not by counties.
The monies that we owed, that is over 2 months. For every county, 2 months disbursement is equivalent to maybe 2 or 3 months salaries. And given the fact that recently we were on the spot from the ministry as having not paid debt for CAMSA, it will not be possible to settle those debts for CAMSA unless we get our full disbursement, because we have to make a hard choice between paying debt for CAMSA and paying salaries for the workers who are working in those hospitals. So it is critical for us to get the full disbursement of up to June for us to be able to pay monies that are owed to CAMSA and other suppliers.
Concerning health, the COG called for all debts owed by the now defunct NHIF, totaling 8 billion Kenyan shillings, to be settled before the transition to SHIF. According to the governors, for a smooth transition, there must be concurrence on pending bills.
That the Council rejects this proposal in totality and demand that the National Treasury retains the county equitable share as enumerated in the Division of Revenue Act 2024 after the mediated process. Number 2, on the disbursement of pending allocation to counties. The Council calls for immediate release of equitable share of revenue owed to county governments for the months of May and June 2024, amounting to 63.6 billion. This is to ensure uninterrupted service delivery at the county level.
The governors called for consistency in the disbursement by the government, noting President Ruto had set a precedent of offsetting all monies owed by counties by the close of the financial year, and that should continue. The 2023-2024 financial year closes on 30th June, which is only 9 days away. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Coastal region leaders from various sectors have reaffirmed their stance against Mogoka, declaring it is unwelcomed in their communities. They have maintained the ban on the entry, sale, transportation, and consumption of Mogoka across the coast region. Earlier, these leaders declined an invitation from President William Ruto to discuss their stringent regulations on the miraa and muguka trade, insisting on first holding consultations with all stakeholders, including health experts, civil society, and religious leaders. Today, they convened a consultative forum to address the issue comprehensively. Despite legal challenges, including a recent overturning of the ban by the Embu High Court, coastal governors remain adamant, with some imposing high fees on muguka traders. The tension escalated after President Ruto met with Embu County officials to discuss the crop's future and criticized the coastal governors for their restrictive measures, arguing that muguka is legally recognized under Kenyan law as a scheduled crop.
We also consulted our legal teams. Mukisikia report vile ilivyoanza hapa, caffeine and cathinol are products that have already been declared illegal in Kenya. If they've already been declared illegal in Kenya, that means the act and regulations of miraa are the ones that are illegal.
Yes.
Our stand remains that is the reason why tumepelekwa kotini, and that is why baada ya kesi karibu 10, moja peke yake jaji wa kutoka Embu ndo alosema ya kwa wapatiwe stay order. All the other judges in the whole of Kenya felt otherwise. We stand as governors of the belief that it is in the purview of the county governments to be able to ban a
And now moving to matters international news, Zambia is facing its worst agricultural season in over 40 years, with crops destroyed, livestock perishing, and millions of people in need of humanitarian assistance. Among the most impacted are women and girls, who are experiencing increased risk of malnutrition, gender-based violence, and child marriages. Here is more on the same.
In response to the crisis, the United Nations Population Fund is working on the ground in drought-affected provinces to provide reproductive health and gender-based violence prevention. Mobile clinics are reaching remote communities, offering medical treatment for people living with HIV and treating pregnant women who are malnourished.
Today we are providing ART, we are providing antenatal services, we are also providing children's clinic services, also family planning, and slight of part of a bit of OPD.
They don't have food. As a result, teenagers, they end up in they become vulnerable. So they engage themselves in sexual activities. So when we talk about HIV, even HIV rate, it's quite high in adolescents because they engage themselves to these fishermen because they want help, they are vulnerable.
United Nations Population Fund is also supporting Safe Motherhood Action Group volunteers to provide information on safe motherhood. The need for immediate flexible funding is critical to meet the needs of most of the vulnerable women and girls in Zambia. United Nations Population Fund is appealing for $5.4 million to support the work and ensure that women and girls receive the assistance they need during this devastating crisis.
Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye arrived in France on Wednesday for his first visit since his election in March this year. Invited to France as part of the Global Forum for Vaccine Sovereignty and Innovation, President Faye's schedule was to Emmanuel Macron, the Élysée Palace on Thursday, where trade agreements between the two countries, the CFA France and the French military presence in Senegal, were also the agenda for discussion. Here is the full report.
In May, Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko stated the country's wish to determine its path was incompatible with entrenched presence of foreign military bases on Senegalese soil. Before taking off for Paris on his first trip outside Africa, Bassirou Diomaye Faye made a series of visits to neighboring countries, including Mauritania, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Sierra Leone. The meeting between Emmanuel Macron and Bassirou Diomaye Faye could ease tensions linked to the political crisis in Senegal that preceded the new president's arrival in power. Between 2021 and 2024, the legal battle between Pastef leader Ousmane Sonko and the former Senegalese government led to several periods of unrest, resulting in dozens of deaths and hundreds of arrests. Senegal and France have historically maintained strong political and economic relations. However, Faye, a left-wing Pan-Africanist, has insisted such partnership should be mutually beneficial.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And now for sports lovers, it's time for your most anticipated part of the news, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Football Kenya Federation has revealed that they will hand girl the trophy after the game, which will be staged at the Kenyatta Stadium, Machakos, where host Bidco United have contacted Big Brother event and ticketing to handle the tickets for the game. In a communication sent to media rooms on Friday, each VIP seat will retail at 500 Kenya shillings, with the fans set to occupy regular seats set to party way with 200 Kenyan shillings. Tickets will be available on match day outside Naivas Supermarket in Machakos and outside the stadium, with the selling points set to be open from 7 a.m. on the match day. Gor will be looking to bounce back from their 4-2 shocking loss to FC Talanta in midweek as they look to end the season with 73 points, with Bidco currently placed 10th with 44 points after 33 games. The Coronation Day will also be a perfect opportunity for the head coach, Johnny McKinstry, to give proper goodbye to the Gor Mahia family after taking over the Gambia national team earlier in the month.
Over the world to turn up in large numbers and come and give us their support, because it is our last game, and also it is the game that we will be crowned, will be officially crowned as champions. So I want to urge them to turn up in large numbers, they come and enjoy the game, and after the game they should maintain peace, and also they should, this time round, I want to urge them at least to give to give us ample time at least to celebrate, so that they can come in after we've finished receiving our medal. So we just want to them to come and we celebrate as one family.
Naweza sema fans to keep discipline ndo celebration yetu ikuwe perfect. Cause the moment tumeingia kwa pitch kuna venye celebrations hazitakuwa venye ziko zimeorganiziwa. So naweza ajituma fans to kuwe discipline to celebrate trophy yetu. Unajua tumezoea, but tukuwe tu discipline to celebrate trophy yetu. Si wote tunafuraha kwa Galo family. Yeah, tukuwe tu discipline.
Yeah, well, firstly, I'd say, we want to see the Green Army out in their thousands. We want to fill the stadium on Sunday. We want to show the best vision of Kenyan football and the Gor Mahia fraternity, not just to Kenya, but it's going to be beamed live on Azam TV, so all of East and indeed all of Africa are going to be watching on. So we want that colour, we want that passion, we want that just energy in the stadium. But also, at the end of the game, these guys, we've got 30 guys there who've worked extremely hard all season, and they want to enjoy it with the fans, but at the same time, being able to enjoy that moment of lifting the trophy on the field and then, sharing it with the fans in the stand, I think is an important thing. So yeah, for the supporters, come out in your thousands, enjoy the game, enjoy the celebrations, but also make sure.
Coach Ken Othiambo has named the Harambee Stars under-23 squad for the upcoming 2024 COSAFA Cup, which Kenya has been invited to as a guest participant. This aligns with the Football Kenya Federation's vision of providing a platform for the nation's emerging stars to gain international experience and exposure. A few experienced players, including Anthony Akumu and Johnston Omurwa, have also been drafted into the team alongside under-18 prodigies Amos Wanjala and Aldrin Kibet, who made mark at the last year's SAFA under-18 championship. The team will be under the guidance of Harambee Stars assistant coach Ken Odhiambo. His compatriot in the senior national team, William Muluya, will support him. In the meantime, preparations for the regional showpiece kickoff on June 20th when the team starts residential training in Nairobi. The 2024 COSAFA Cup is set to be hosted in South Africa from June 26 to July 7th, 2024. Argentina began the defense of its Copa America title with a 2-0 victory over Canada on Thursday night in Atlanta. Argentina is seeking its third straight major title after winning the 2021 Copa America and the 2022 World Cup. With South America's championship moved to the United States for the second time, Lionel Messi set a Copa America record by playing in his 35th match, one more than Chile's Sergio Livingstone from 1941 to 1953. Here are the details.
Lionel Messi, who turns 37 years on Monday, created the first goal when he headed a pass through the defense for Alex McAllister. The midfielder side-footed to Alvarez while crashing into on-rushing goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau. Alvarez had a virtually empty net and kicked the ball in for his 8th goal in 32 international appearances. Messi's through ball led to Julian Alvarez's goal in the 49th minute. Then he assisted on Lautaro Martinez's goal in the 88th minute. Messi extended his Copa America record with his 18th assist when he ran through the center of the midfield and rolled a pass to Martinez, who got his 25th international goal. Messi's best scoring chance was in the 65th minute when his attempt off the rebound was blocked by the head of a defender. Messi put a chip wide after he came in alone with the keeper in the 79th minute. Canada made its Copa America debut and played its first competitive match under American coach Jesse Marsh, who was hired on May 13th. The former Leeds and New York Red Bulls coach said his side did its best against Messi but couldn't contain him the whole night. Argentina plays Chile on Tuesday at New Jersey, then closes the first round against Peru on June 29th at Florida. Canada faces Peru on Tuesday at Kansas City and finishes the group stage against Chile on 29th June at Orlando, Florida. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.